only to be another false alarm. "Can you stand the suspense?" Georgina asked in breathless excitement. "The entire world will remember May 21st, 1927. And just think, we're witnessing this history." "History that could end badly," Nancy said dryly, remembering the multiple other failed transatlantic flight attempts, all trying for the Orteig Prize of $25,000. In 1919, Raymond Orteig had promised the prize money to the first aviator of any country who crossed the Atlantic in one flight between Paris and New York, either direction. So far, all crossings had tragically failed. "Either Charles Lindbergh will be the first man to fly solo across the Atlantic, or everyone will be mourning another needless loss." Georgina nudged her with a huff. "Spoil sport. Mr. Lindbergh was spotted flying over England, so he's made it this far." Flying seemed a bit foolish in Nancy's mind, even though her brother had taken some flying lessons. Plenty of pilots tried stunts that never ended well. She didn't understand the drive to put one's life in danger, although she was interested in the statistics she'd heard on the radio earlier that day. Lindbergh had left Roosevelt Field out of New York at 7:51 a.m. He carried 450 gallons of gasoline, making the single-engine plane weigh about 2,750 pounds. He had packed only 5 sandwiches and brought no coffee. Since he was flying solo, he would have to stay awake for the entire trip. 32 hours and counting. How would it feel to stay awake that long? And how cold had it become thousands of feet above the earth, as the newspapers had reported? Had Lindbergh eaten all of his sandwiches yet? And where? Someone in the crowd yelled, and an absolute hush dropped like a heavy paint canvas over the people who stood crushed together. The faint drone of an engine filled the air, its rumbling growing louder and closer. Suddenly, people were moving, and not in any particular direction, as they strained to catch sight of the approaching plane. Nancy held onto Georgina with both hands, who held onto her mother. But Nancy's feet were rooted to the rutted ground as the plane in the sky circled the landing field. Flashlights clicked on in earnest now, like a horde of fireflies suddenly come to life. People aimed their flashlights toward the sky, trying to cast their own personal spotlight of history in the making. But the plane didn't descend toward the airfield. It continued to circle. What was the pilot doing? Why wasn't he landing? Was it really Charles Lindbergh after all? "Is it really that small of a plane?" Georgina asked, wonder in her voice. "Regardez ça!" someone shouted. "Monsieur Lindbergh!" Cheers went up as the plane circled yet again, and somewhere in the crowd, an energetic song began, the French national anthem. Nancy kept her chin raised, her eyes focused on the circling aircraft. Her pulse jarred through her, mimicking the stuttering sound of the plane engine. Once, twice, 3 times the plane circled, and then it dipped. Nose first, it descended, faster than Nancy thought it should. Wasn't there some sort of brakes? People scattered, ran, shouted, and all Nancy could do was grip her cousin's arm and stare as Charles Lindbergh's plane touched the ground. Dust bloomed, filling the night air, and Nancy tasted grit in her mouth as the scent of engine oil seemed to seep around her. The plane bumped along for dozens of yards before coming to a final stop. People behind, to the side, and in front of Nancy's group shifted and pressed and moved, all trying to get closer. Policemen circled the stopped plane, linking their hands to create a human barrier as they shouted in limp French for people to stand back. The crowds broke through anyway. Aunt Hannah's vice-like grip clutched both Nancy's and Georgina's arms. "We need to get